All right, so I was streaming earlier, and towards the end of the stream, someone came in this chat. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about how Metallica really, oh my god. So taking the time to spend stream with Metallica and just to have the time to like enter into what they were sharing, right? To take the time to try it on, I got a lot of insight and wisdom from what they shared, and I think you can see it in the video. It's like really cool. Um, Especially towards the beginning, like tapping into imagination, putting your heart into it, all these big powerful ideas. But then even later, helping me to kind of tap into very powerful lessons that I want to share with you today, right now. So that's a big part of this. Basically, someone came in the chat and they had a question, and my first mistake was basically, well, I thought at the root that they had a real question. But I think my unconscious picked up that they had me on trial because I started answering defensively. But what I thought was interesting was that they came in asking about the idea of humanizing everyone. And what I realized is that humanizing everyone means something to me, right? It's all these different neural connections inside my brain. It's all these different ideas inside. It's all this different symbolism and imagery. It means a lot to me. And it to me, it's something that I'm actively doing, right? I see it how that is. And then they came in asking about it, but the thing was they weren't asking about it. They were coming to tell me about what they believe it is and why it's wrong that I'm doing it, because they think their definition is my definition, right? So that was the first mistake I made, was to not that's the kind of the important lesson, is to focus on what's the real message, what's really being said. I should have realized there was an issue. I should have said, what's the issue with humanizing everyone? What's wrong with that, right? Because at the root, humanizing everyone, I think would be the best thing in the world, because then there would be less hate, right? Isn't that the whole reason hate is thrown around so easily and willy-nilly? Because we don't humanize everyone. So, and aren't we all humans at the root, right? Don't we all make mistakes? Don't we all at times not know better? Don't we all grow and learn? Don't we all struggle with some things that we can't seem to change or fix? But, right? So if we all have the same kind of experience, aren't we all human, and can't we humanize all of us? What's wrong with that? But what you'll notice is this is what's so important about the roadblocks, right? I lose access to my prefrontal cortex, and I answer very kind of already defensively. And you'll see I go very cerebral. So this is what's so important about the roadblocks. So I could have had access to my prefrontal cortex, but so you can too in situations like this. But I didn't really know yet. I was just kind of going into it. So now another thing this kind of highlights, I'll get into soon, but I want to kind of go into the next part. So then they ask another question, and then they said, okay, because I said that what I meant is it's very figurative. I don't mean every single person in the world, because they took it very literal. I mean to go and humanize all 9 billion people, to somehow keep track of them all. You know what I mean? No, it's means something to me, right? That's an idea. That's a spirit. That's what that is, right? All I can focus on is what I can focus on here and bring that spirit here, right? I cannot go and attend to 9 billion people. So that was why I could feel the defensiveness. And then the second part, then they boxed us all into a we, because they said we. What I think is fascinating about we, before we even get to the issue with we, is if it is we, then that assumes that we're in it equally. We. And so if we're in it equally, and you're pinning something that I should be ashamed of or guilty of on myself, and you also share the same issue, why? Right? So I don't understand that. And then why not just cast it on yourself and leave me alone? Why do you have to guilt and shame me when you could just guilt and shame yourself? I'm not trying to be a jerk to whoever's watching this video, but I'm just saying in that situation, right? But then secondly, one second. The issue with, that's the thing is, then that was the other point, is then, okay, so then is it about measuring? So is it am I somehow more complicit? And then then are we supposed to track all 9 billion people so we can see who's where on the complicit list? So we can, like, but they were already poking fun that it's impossible to track 9 billion people. So it was really confusing. And this is where you'll see there's two things. This is the issue with this is enmeshment, but you'll see I have two really competing values. I have two high competing values. I have this mirror, right? I've had this forever. This has been me for so long, the mirror. I reflect what the person is giving off. So if a person is giving me like joy and those kind of things, like Metallica was talking about, right? Like all these big powerful ideas and actually accepting me and like me accepting them and us like actually getting along and just doing what's natural and easy with no, like, there's no energy behind it, right? It just happens. It's effortless when you just let it be and you just get along, right? Okay. That's cool when you're mirroring that. But when you're mirroring this, like, okay, right? That's not so cool, because what I realized the issue here is by mirroring that, since I'm being dehumanized with the guilt and the shame, now I am dehumanizing by guilting and shaming. Does that make sense? So I realize this is an unhealthy value that I want to let go. The thing is, it's such a powerful value for so long. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds over time, right? Because the higher value is the community. This is the competing value. It's the community I'm trying to create, right? That's the whole point. Like, and that's why I'm so grateful for Metallica, because they helped me see, right? They helped me see by asking me a really powerful question. Kind of like, if we could reset the world, do you think that would like make us like each other more or be more loving towards each other? And I realized what I could have done differently. And it was to ask questions. It was to not, basically, instead of to go on the defense and explain myself, I should have just asked. I should have read what was being communicated. Clearly there was some issue with the idea of humanizing everyone. So I should have asked, what's wrong with humanizing everyone, right? I should have gotten curious. I should have asked, what's in their container, right? What's in there for you, right? Because it's okay. I don't have to explain myself. My issue is I'm over here. I'm trying to tell them, no, this is what it means for me. This is what humanize everyone means for me. This is what's in my cup, right? Like my unconscious up here. This is what it means for me. I'm trying to explain that. And then they're over here trying to explain what's in their cup. No, humanize everyone means this. It means this. And then you see what I mean? And then my mirror is then I'm reflecting that. Well, and then what happens? Then neither of us are humanized. So I thought that was really important to show how we can have competing values, like very high competing values, and how they're both trying to do something very important for us and, at the root, but how we can grow and evolve, how we can choose to focus on what we want instead, right? On the community, on the asking the questions, on letting go of like that need to explain myself, really, because I think that's a big part of why I was doing that instead of asking questions, right? So that's part of it. So I'm excited for all of this. But the big issue I want to talk about with is like used like that is enmeshment. And Virginia Satir is a very famous family therapist and a very successful one. In fact, she was the most successful one, and that is why she was chosen to have her process distilled, how to replicate it, right? That is why she was chosen, because she was such a dang good family therapist. The reason you probably don't know about her, I'm guessing you can already come up with on your own. And what's cool is that's what's in your container, and that'll tell you what's more about yourself, and that's what's so cute. Oh my God, I was gonna say cool and can make and curious at the same time. So is this like cool? It's so weird. Anyway, but basically it goes back. If you think about that, the idea of enmeshment in the family life, it comes down to like not establishing boundaries. Either like not establishing them, not knowing to establish them, not ever having established them, thinking what like being warped ideas of boundaries, right? All these different things play into it, but basically that's the thing. It's unhealthy boundaries. And that's kind of what happens is when we have unhealthy boundaries, we can slip into other people's business and it can feel like our own, right? The issue with that is now other people's life experiences are now affecting our systems. And we have no impact or like we have no control over that. We have no say. It just happens. And just like, right? So this is why it's so important to put those roadblocks and to take back and to de-enmesh, right? It's to de-enmesh. And the roadblocks and the de-enmesh. Okay? And to get over here instead. And to establish those boundaries, a big part of it, and I think this is a big part of the message, is to, because I feel like a lot of people don't know this, is to establish the boundaries and to know that you can have boundaries and all this different things. And I think this is another big piece of the community after start talking about going in with trust and stuff. It's this idea of boundaries. It's having these clear boundaries where you have this place you can go where you're safe from everything, right? Where you can be safe from everything and it can't mess with you. You know what I mean? The whole point is self-care, right? It's to protect yourself so you can grow into a person that can take on more and more and help more and more people. But that's what I thought was interesting, is this person literally wanted me to humanize everyone in 1 second, right? Just them jumping into my chat. And I can only do that one person at a time, realistically, right? And that's what I'm focusing on, is one person at a time. Right? So that's why it's so important. It's like, take care of yourself a little, help a person. Take care of yourself a little bit more, help a person. This is way more sustainable and healthy. That's the whole thing. It's not about denying what's happening out there. We're not doing that at all. We're just focusing on what will help us get to a place where we can help more. And we can help ourselves a little bit more, and we can help out a little bit more. And then all collectively, if we do that, think about what we could do. Think about what we could do. Like, it's bringing tears to my eyes, and I'm stifling them because I don't want to cry on camera. But think about what we could really do with that model. Just like take care of yourself a little bit more and help out a little bit more. And it doesn't even have to be that much more, but what's sustainable so it doesn't feel like this crushing burden, right? And it's not like riddled with guilt and shame, right? You want it to feel good, right? You want it to feel good. You want it to feel easy. You want to celebrate your successes. Congratulate yourself for those things you're doing, no matter how big or small they may appear currently, because over time you'll see how big they really are. Does that make sense? That's what this is about. And I just thought these were super important. I thought these were so super important because I think these are really key things that aren't talked about. This idea of enmeshment, getting stuck in other people's business, it's too much, right? Taking it on too much too personally, right? And taking back, pulling out, so that way you can be there for them in the right way, right? So that way you can be there for them in the right way. That's just exactly it. Yeah. To notice your values, to begin noticing your values, those two kind of competing values, right? Like me with the mirror, but also the community. And then to notice which one really is more important for you. The community. I am so excited to kind of to let this simmer and settle and let the unconscious do more with it. So that way I can just notice the changes moving forward. And then lastly, noticing what's really being communicated, right? If a person comes to you with like an issue, like if they're trying to if it seems like they're upset, right? Noticing that they're upset, but not taking it personally, right? It's kind of noticing like they're trying to ask you or tell you that thing, but that's how they're doing it, right? This is the only way they know how. So it seems like they're like trying to come at you maybe, or they're trying to say something mean, and then it's more to just take a step back and just ask, like, what's wrong with this? How do you see it this way? What's in your cup? What's in your cup? And it really goes back to the humanizing everyone. And I think that's such a great bow to wrap around this. So I want to say thank you so much. Well, first, Metallica. I'm always going to say Metallica first and foremost because of all, man, honestly, because everything they shared, honestly, like that first whole segment with the Mario Maker and the tapping into your imagination and putting your heart into it and that relaxation when things are easy, when you can do the schoolwork easy, all these different big ideas, right? Sharing all of that was super powerful. And then I just wish I remembered the other person's name. So I could just say, hey, I apologize. A lot of... Oh, Lab Potato. Yeah, Lab Potato. I apologize for not asking you questions. Instead, I shouldn't have went so cerebral. Well, yeah, I should have noticed what you were saying. Like, something to you was wrong with Humanize Everyone. And I didn't really effectively communicate what was in my cup, and I really could have let that go anyway to focus on what was in your cup. And I feel like I don't know, I'm just excited moving forward for if this happens again, to really celebrate the spirit of the community, like for anyone to feel welcome, right? Anyone, and it's even getting me to reconsider like a person's intention, because really I don't even know their intention. Their intention is probably to really at the root, it's always something positive, right? It's really, this is so true. Everyone's intention is something positive, right? It's just, again, a lot of times we don't know how to go about it in the right way, or we've learned unhealthy ways of doing it from other people with our mirror neurons and stuff. There's just so many ways that it can go wrong. And at the root, we always are just like pretty much looking to help. Like, they came in trying to help me. They were trying to help me maybe see something I didn't see, or maybe like refine what I was saying, or maybe protect people that'll take it the wrong way. Like, they were trying to do something positive, and it looked negative on the outside. But if I would have asked, like, what's important to you about this? Like, what's in there? What's in there that's like trying to, what's the big thing? Like, what's behind the fire? What's behind the fire that's making you feel the fire, right? What's that? Right? That's what I want to know, right? Like, oh, I'm just so excited. Lab Potato. No hard feelings. No hard feelings at all, and I'm just so excited, everyone. So, I hope, I don't know, I just hope someone learns something from my mistakes, and I don't even consider mistakes. Yeah, I guess so, mistakes, right? They're not like, it's not negative, it's just a mistake. So, knowing that, okay, take a step back, how do we want it to be instead? Put up the roadblock, this is how I want it to be instead. And now you can distill it. And that's what's really cool, is now the mistake becomes something valuable that other people can learn without having to make it. So, cha-ching, we all grow together. All right. Love you all. Oh my God. That's the first time I said that. That's nuts. All right. Yes, let's go.